And now a highlight from Animal Radio on iHeartRadio.
No stranger to Animal Radio, Laura Vorreyer is joining us. She wrote the book, The Pet Sitter's Tale, and she actually has a couple of clients that are celebrity clients, don't you? But I understand you can't talk about them. That would be, disrespectful of their privacy, right?
Well, I do talk about some of them, but only in a good way.
Of course. Now, do they have?
We want the dirt.
Everybody wants the dirt.
Judy, when she pet sits, and she does a lot of pet sitting, occasionally clients will give her a long list of things to do. I mean, like a couple of pages.
Instructions, yes.
Massive instructions, which I think, is a good thing to do, right? You like to have instructions.
Oh, my gosh, I call it the phone book. Yes, I have clients who have the thick manuals. I mean, they're bound, and they are 3-ring binders, and they are instructions about every single emergency that you might encounter, plus things that you would probably never encounter, and then instructions, too. Judy probably knows about this. Turn on the TV and connect to the Wi-Fi.
I get a lot of instructions on play. Their favorite toys, what to play, what time to play, how long to play, what my role is in that play.
I love that. And, I had a client who put Post-it notes wherever her pets would like, and she'd put a little sticky there like, oh, Fluffy likes to sleep here, and, oh, you might find Bunny, resting over here, and here's another spot. And there were stickies all over the house with little Post-it notes saying, yeah, look here.
I can totally relate. Maybe we have the same client.
Diesel is asleep. Diesel is our dog in the newsroom here, so if you hear snoring in the background, that's actually Diesel.
Oh, Diesel.
Yeah. So your book, The Pet Sitter's Tale, obviously you've collected a lot of stories, and I imagine that anybody that pet sits for a little while comes up with some pretty interesting stories. What would you say is the most awkward pet sitting incident that you've had?
I think it can be awkward especially when people don't disclose that they have cameras in their home. And, there used to be, when I started almost over 15 years ago now, we didn't have the technology that we do today, and so there was a bigger expectation of privacy. And I never thought to ask clients, hey, do you have any cameras in the house, that I might, want to know about? But now I think that the most awkward thing is going to a client's house, not really realizing that they had a camera, and, taking a shower and coming out in a towel and having them call me and said, we forgot to tell you that we have cameras in the house. I'm like, oh, my gosh, thank God I'm walking around with a towel on. I mean, thanks for telling me now.
I've learned when I go into anybody's home now to act as if there's cameras.
You have to. You
Yes.
absolutely have to. And, it's really too bad. I don't like to think about the cameras, but right, you have to. And when I hire employees, I always tell them, you know what, listen, don't do anything that you wouldn't want to see yourself doing in front of a jury of your peers, okay? Keep it on the up and up. If you're questioning anything at all, don't do it. And, it's a slippery slope because clients say, help yourself, make yourself at home, and then they're watching you. So it's a little bit uncomfortable sometimes.
Exactly.
What would you suggest for somebody that wants to get into the business?
This is a great business to get into. There is very little barrier to entry. You don't have to invest a ton of money into dog walking or pet sitting. You can kind of start where you are, make up a business card, get a website, but most of all, meet your neighbors and let your friends and family know that you're available for pet sitting and dog walking if you're going to offer dog walking as well, because this is the kind of service that people need and want, and once they've used you once and you've done a good job, they will definitely call you again.
I know, sometimes too much. I'm on call all the time.
Do you have any clients that you just you have to turn away just because they're too high maintenance?
I've had only a couple throughout the years, and I recently had a client that had 2 giant Dobermans, and she created them, which is fine, but they were aggressive. And she would say to me, you have to be the alpha. You can't let them know that you're scared of them. Well, I wasn't scared of them, but they weren't my average sort of fluffy, happy-go-lucky dog. And I felt that they were a little too aggressive and that it could turn. And I had to say to the client, I think that they would do better with maybe a male caregiver because they really responded to that male energy. And I kind of had to say, you're probably better off going with someone else, because I felt uncomfortable in that situation with these two huge Dobermans. They made me nervous, quite frankly, and dogs never make me nervous, and those two did. So that was a situation where I had to say, hey, this is not a good fit. And then one other time I had a situation with a client that was overfeeding her dogs. They were hugely obese, and she believed food was love, and she gave them way too much food, and they were probably really not even able to move very well. They couldn't even go on walks anymore, and it was just really sad, and I had to let that go too, because I just really couldn't reconcile the treatment of those pets, and I couldn't come up with a delicate way of saying, hey, in my opinion, what you're doing isn't right for the animals.
Yeah, I had a client one time. I was a cat, and they wanted me to pop 3 pills down its throat, and that cat wanted to kill me.
Oh,
and I said, I can't do that job. Yeah. They've called me back, and I said, nope. The cat wanted to kill me the last time. I'm not going near him.
There's nothing. I'll tell you. I would take on a gnarly dog. I would not take on an aggressive cat, though. A cat, you will always, if a cat scratches you or bites, it will always become infected. Now, that's not always true if you get scratched or bit by a dog, but a cat, because of the bacteria in the mouth, you will always get an infection from a cat. Cats are terrifying. Let's face it. If they're bigger, they would eat us.
We're talking with pet sitter extraordinaire Laura Vorreyer.
Vorreyer.
Laura Vorreyer.
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 When you tell people that for your job, your work, that you're a pet sitter, sometimes they look at you like, well, it's not really a legitimate job, but it can be a 6-figure salary for some people, couldn't it?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I think that the sort of consensus on it is changing, because now you see look at Dog Vacay and Rover.com and these on-demand wag.com. These apps and these on-demand dog walkers and pet sitters, I mean, you've seen a lot of venture capital go into these startup companies, and they are disrupting sort of the whole industry with their on-demand this and on-demand that. So you can do very well, especially if you are one of these people at the top of those startups. But this is the kind of business that you can take it as far as you're willing to go with it. You can hire employees, you can franchise, you can have multiple locations, and there's a lot that you can do in your own home without even needing to get a facility. So I think this is a very lucrative business. Before you told people you're a pet sitter or dog walker, they're kind of thinking in their back of their mind, oh, you're just a loser. But once they see you hustling and, you've got clients and you've got people working for you and, payroll systems and you're doing tax returns and you're working, I think it's an eye-opener.
Sure. What do you think about apps like WAG, who's come under a lot of criticism lately because of a couple of deaths of animals?
Oh, yeah. You know what? It just doesn't work from, I would say, my generation. I have clients who, when I've been busy or I couldn't help them, I said, "Do you want to use app? I have a promo code." Laura, I don't want to use WAG. I don't want to use an app. I want to know somebody. I want to meet them before they come to my house. Now, that's my generation, okay, and the people that I typically service who are in my demographic. But I know people who are much younger than me, in their 20s, millennials, if you will. And it's a different generation. Everything is on demand for them. They're okay with that. So I think it depends on your comfort level. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for my clientele. But it's obviously working for some people, because I see the cars in my neighborhood. I see the people who they'll say, oh, yeah, I work for Rover, I work for WAG, I work for Uber, I work for Lyft. And they're helping them, eke out a living. And that's the gig economy.
How true.
It's so true. You see people, then they're doing a little bit of everything.
Well, I thank you so much for spending time with us again. Judy is telling me that we've got to move on here, but hopefully we can do this again sometime. Laura Vorreyer, the book is called The Pet Sitter's Tale, and I have 5 copies to give out at 1-866-405-8405. If you're not lucky enough to get on through and pick this up, we can get this at Amazon, right?
It's on Amazon, and now it is just available on Audible, too. So if you want to listen to me tell the stories while you're walking the dog, you can do that, too.
So you voice it?
Yeah, that is fun. I voiced the book myself, and it's going really well. People love audiobooks. Talk about a market disruptor. If you're into them, download this one. It's only a couple hours, and it's a lot of fun to listen to.
Okay, we'll put links over at our website at animalradio.pet. Laura, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks. You guys be well.
I love her cheery enthusiasm.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Visit us at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.